Hello everybody, welcome back. We're here with another episode of Motor Mouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm Kendra.
I'm Dan.
And we're sitting here kind of in the back corner of the museum.
We're standing here.
We are.
You said sitting.
Did I?
I think so.
Whoops, we're standing.
We're here.
I'm sitting in my mind. I'm
Okay.
leaning. That's halfway between.
Yeah.
I've got this nice wall to lean on, which is now serving as a buffet of information, it looks like.
That's nice. Buffet of information.
Been working hard on that one.
Yeah, good.
And we've got this enormous engine in front of us, and I'm going to let you take it from here because I actually don't know how this engine connects to some of the stuff that I see in front of me.
Yeah,
so.
it's confusing. I'm going to say to you viewers right up front, hopefully this will make sense, because a lot of times you have these companies, you know, and during their life they're introducing other companies, or they're getting bought out or selling this, and it just there's a bunch of stuff, and I'm not even telling you all of it because it gets so obscure. It's like a book might be good, and I know none of you want to listen to me for that long. So anyway, so let's start on our buffet. I like that.
Dig in.
Yeah, dig in. You know, and it's interesting, and here's another thing, and I was thinking about this. A lot of people will call this a motor, and they say, no, this is an engine. If it's electric, then it's a motor. Right?
Okay.
You know, electric motor,
yeah.
and okay. But then I'm thinking, have you ever heard of an engine cycle? It's a motorcycle. It's a motor car.
That's
so
a motor.
Those of you who want to argue against me, don't. Okay. So anyway, we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about the Light Manufacturing and Foundry Company out of Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And that's where this engine comes from, or this motor comes from, okay? First of all, some background about the Light Cycle Company out of Pottstown. You're laughing. You're already confused?
I'm getting prepared to be confused.
Okay.
Buckle up.
A gentleman called Edward Fretz, F-R-E-T-Z, was a stationery store owner. He teamed up with another gentleman called William Grubb to build safety bicycles. Safety bicycles are similar to what you are familiar with now, you know, just regular sized bikes with pedals and stuff. We have some other types of bikes here. Do we have a light cycle?
We do. We do have a light bicycle.
Okay.
Two.
Okay. So, so they started that in 1889. They were founded as a light cycle company. 2 years after that, in 1891, they started bicycle production. 1892, couldn't fulfill an order. So Emmanuel Castle joined, and you're going to look at an advertisement now, and it's a Castle and Fretz bicycle out of High Street in Pottstown. So they're making bicycles in Pottstown, and they also did something. And I saw this online, a magazine called The Iron Age from 1895. It says the company also built a machine known as a trade wheel, which is sold only to the trade, and upon which the trade are allowed to use their own nameplate and make their own list price. So when they're talking about a trade wheel and a machine, they're talking about a bicycle, and with no nameplate on it. And if, you know, let's say you're Light Manufacturing and I'm Acme Company, I want to sell bicycles, you can sell me, and I don't know if it'd be you or me, put the Acme nameplate on it. Acme's not a good name because there are Acme bicycles.
So, okay, they could have been making bicycles for who knows who.
Right, right. And I've come across that. I remember seeing a truck company do the same thing, but that's besides the point. So that was 1892. So you had
Who knows
excuse
what
me,
bicycles were
1895.
made in Pottstown now?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
But there were a lot of bicycle companies out there too.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, there was hundreds, thousands, I don't know. And so I'm thinking, I'm trying to think, that what I just quoted was 1895. I'm thinking, was Sears, for instance, in existence then? And they could have had somebody else make their bicycles, or somebody like Wanamaker's down in Philadelphia and want to put their nameplate on it instead of that. So there you go.
Yeah, I think especially like a department store, that would be like a really attractive venue for them.
They did that up into the 50s. I've seen like Firestone bicycles.
Or like Sears.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, they didn't have their own factories, so they had. Okay, so anyway, that's that. In 1900, they quit making bicycles as the automobile business became more popular than a bicycle. Fretz changed the company name to Light Manufacturing and Foundry Company to manufacturing aluminum castings for differential gears. And so they ended up producing aluminum, bronze, and brass castings, also for automobiles and airplanes. So they're now out of the bicycle business, but they're into making metal parts, we'll say, which I guess they did when they were making bicycles too. 1901 and 1902, the Light Steamer, which was an automobile that they made. We need one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they only made two, and I don't think they're around.
Probably not.
They only made two of them, and it was built by William Grubb and assisted by John Zander. I wonder if Jim is related to them.
Well, that name I have not heard yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Company's history.
So out of the Motor Age magazine, May of 1901, Grubb said that if a machine stood the roads of Pennsylvania, it could be accepted without fear in any part of the country. So back then, Pennsylvania had the worst roads in the country.
And today?
And today, yes. Okay. 1908, got back in the motorized vehicle business, or started in the motorized vehicle business. And actually, he did the steam car. So now he has a gasoline-powered thing, and it was the King Quality Light Motorcycle. And you see the advertisement for it, $185. You could get your own motorcycle made in Pottstown. The next year, 1909, Light purchased Merkel Manufacturing Company, which was, I'm trying to think where that was. I think it's Wisconsin. I don't have it in my notes. This is yes, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yes, I do have it. It's right there.
Yes.
Sorry, I read the wrong line. You're supposed to be helping me here. Okay. So
yeah, because never mind.
Yeah,
yes.
we'll
Milwaukee is correct.
Yeah, we'll be talking about more about Merkel in a minute or two. Okay. So 1909, Light purchased Merkel, and the Merkel Light Motor Company was at 4th and Hanover Street in Pottstown, which is kind of in the middle of Pottstown, okay? And I was looking because you've mentioned about there's an apartment. Yeah, and I looked, but it's not that building. It's like 3 blocks from there.
Okay, all right.
So it's kind of that part of town. Okay. That's at Walnut and North York Streets, by the way.
Yes,
because
yes.
I looked it up, Google Maps. Okay.
Great building.
It is. It is. Interesting, after 1916, Light used the former Chadwick factory. And I came across this other thing, and I don't know anything except what I have written here. I also read that Chadwick building was used as a munitions factory after it closed. How's that? How's that for an explosive statement?
I like it. Yeah, that was off Franklin?
I think so. I think it was Franklin, kind of towards the river back in there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's get back to the Merkel stuff. The Merkel bicycle and motorcycles, okay? started in 1902 as bicycles in Milwaukee. Okay, Joe Merkel began designing a single-cylinder motorcycle engine. In 2003, he started building motorcycles. In 1905, he built several racing machines, and they had the term
racing machines.
They had the term "all roads are smooth to the Flying Merkel." And again, 1909, it was purchased by Light Manufacturing Foundry Company, moving to Pottstown, and continued under the name Merkel Light Motor Company. 1910, the first two-cylinder engine. Racing versions of the 1910 Flying Merkels could be ordered directly from sales catalog, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, we need one of them.
I bet they had codes in there. I've seen those in the bicycle ones. Like there's different codes in the back for what color, what kind of seat you want, what kind of pedals you want, and yeah, but there were codes in the back.
Yeah, so that's it, and that goes back to 1910. 1911, the Miami Cycle Company, or Miami Cycle Manufacturing Company out of Middletown, Ohio, bought the whole Merkel thing and it kind of moved away from Pottstown. I could continue on about that company, but that's for another time. Okay, so we got the light company that was in Pottstown, and we talked about the bicycles, we talked about the light steamers, we talked about the motorcycles. None of that fits this piece of equipment in front of me.
No, it does not.
So this here is a Daniels engine. Now, I don't know if you can see it with the camera here, but we have Daniels over here to my left. We have three of them lined up here. And the center one is a white and black Roadster, and that's where this engine came from. And Daniels started out, and they had Herschel Spillman engines, which were made in North Towanda, New York. Okay, and I believe it's 1919. Herschel Spillman says, we can't build any more engines this large. We're only going to build 4 and 6 cylinders. Now the thing is, Daniels always had an 8-cylinder engine. That's what this is here. So Daniels, let me go back to the Herschel Spillman. They were building thousands and thousands of engines for all kinds of, trucks and cars and such. And we just got a car with a 6-cylinder in.
Yeah.
But I think they were only building a handful of 8-cylinder engines. One of, well, not this one, but, for the Daniels. So they said, why should we focus so much energy on building a handful of engines when we can make
it's probably costing them money.
Correct,
at that
correct,
point.
yeah. And by the way, Herschel Spillman also was making carousels at the time, which I think is like so cool because they're not related.
I want to go find one.
Yeah, I think they have 4 of them in Binghamton.
Yeah. Road trip.
So anyway, so Daniels in 1919 started. They approached light manufacturing, had their engine made there, and so that's what you see. Is this is a light manufactured engine, and Light is the brand name, okay? But it's also ironic, I guess, because it has a lot of aluminum parts in it, which makes it lighter. You get the crankcase, you got pieces like this, all over the place. There's a lot of aluminum on that. The heads themselves are iron. You can see that because they're a little bit rusty. And it's kind of a really neat engine. These engines were 404 cubic inches, okay, but rated at 45 horsepower, which was not too much.
No.
But, back then, that's what you're getting. This would have been...
It's a lot of engine for 45 horsepower.
1920? Is that what that car is there?
I believe...
1920?
I believe
1919?
so. 1919 or 1920.
Okay, so that's what this engine is. But, and we've talked about the engines on this. We kind of briefly touched on the ratings of these engines because there was different ways they rated the horsepower rating on these. So so that's what this is. This is a Daniels engine, a V8 made by Light Manufacturing and Foundry Company of Pottstown. Okay, that part's done. All right. Other light engines. I saw some advertisements, and you're going to see an advertisement. There, you see one for truck and tractor motors. They were advertising for engines there, and I came up with a Conestoga commercial car had them, a Rainier commercial car. They had light manufacturer engines. Kearns had them too, which is a Pennsylvania-made truck.
York. Right?
No, Beaver Springs or somewhere up there.
Okay.
And we tried to purchase a Kearns a few years ago, remember? But that was a car.
Yeah,
that was a car.
Yeah, I remember that.
But the trucks had some of these engines in, and earlier Kearns actually had a Herschel Spillman engine in, which is interesting. So, anyway, they didn't just make engines for cars and trucks and tractors and such. And I found a lot of stuff about tractors with light engines in.
I didn't know they were doing that at all.
Okay. Now, this is the cool thing here. And I have to read this. This is going to take a minute or two because it's a whole paragraph. Is that okay? Do I have permission?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay. In the middle of 1930, Taylor Brothers Aircraft Corporation went into voluntary liquidation, and W.T. Piper purchased the assets of the business, and from these assets formed the Taylor Aircraft Company with C.G. Taylor as chief engineer. Following this reorganization, it was decided to produce a two-seat tandem low-powered aircraft. This emerged in September of 1931 as a Taylor E-2, so on and so forth. Its first flight was a 5-minute hop on September of 1930 with Mr. Kirkendall at the controls. It was a high-wing design with fabric-covered tubular steel fuselage, fabric-covered wooden wings, and open cockpit. Okay. The engine was fitted with a 20-horsepower Brown Bach Tiger Kitten, which was provided by Light Manufacturing and Foundry Company of Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Okay, so we have this Piper aircraft, which I believe is Pennsylvania. Okay,
Lock Haven.
With a light engine, and I saw some other thing. It's called a Brown Bach Tiger Kitten, and this Brown Bach did a lot of early engineering with airplane engines back then, but it's called the Tiger Kitten, which is important. This engine was much too low powered, but it was this engine that engendered the name for the aircraft because Tiger Kitten equals cub, and the name stuck. So when you think of Tiger Cub, it all goes back to the light manufacturing. You've heard of Tiger Cub.
Yes.
You have a glazed look.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's where that came from. And I just thought that was so neat because that's one of the things you kind of bring up in conversation. You know, you're at a dinner party or something, you throw that up.
Look at all the trivia we're giving these people.
Okay, so that was interesting, and again, that's light. I'm not sure, this was right at the end of the company here in 1930, because we're going to go back to a company in Philadelphia that had something that ended up in their factory here. It was called Fisher and Jacobs, and that was a company in Philadelphia. In the 20s, Fisher and Jacobs was the place to have a Model T race car built in the Philadelphia area. And you know, we're talking local dirt track racing, which I really enjoy now, but back here in the 20s, they were doing the same thing, and that was a speed shop down in Philly. Wow. And 1924 and 25, here's another really interesting thing. And as soon as you're done watching this, people, or if you're watching this as a recorded thing, you put it on hold and you go to Google or you go to Wikipedia and read this, okay? They made something called the Armored Bandit Chasers, which was an armored police vehicle for the city of Philadelphia. And it was for a person called General Smedley Butler, who was the director of public safety for Philadelphia. Ever hear of that?
Smedley Butler.
Butler.
What a great name.
And he was nasty. He came in, it was during Prohibition, And he basically broke up prohibition, corruption in the government. He had checkpoints in the street, the whole thing, and he has a fleet of armored cars made by Fisher and Jacobs. Very interesting. They, you know, stuff like that was going on.
I think if I grew up with the name Smedley, I probably would be kind of nasty too.
Yeah,
don't you think?
yeah. So anyway, that was in 1925. So in 1926, they started making automobile accessories, and they had cars racing, and I saw one of them raced in Pottstown and won a race, a kind of a big race, and there was a track in Pottstown where the Walmart is now, if you're familiar with Pottstown. Okay, that might have been in 25 or early 26, because when that track closed, they opened a new track down near Philadelphia, Langhorne Speedway, which was nationally famous until the 70s, I guess. So I thought that was interesting too. So Fisher and Jacobs, let's see, we bring it up. In 1926, they constructed an air-cooled 4-cylinder radial engine for airplanes. And they renamed the company the Aircraft Engine Corporation, moved to Camden, and then they moved into the Light Machine and Foundry Company machine shop during Light's liquidation in 1931. So that was the end of Light. Jacobs was incorporated as Jacobs Aircraft Engine Company in 1932. And after World War II, they became a division of a bigger company, but they're best known for radial engines, and we have one of them.
We do. We do.
Yeah.
It is in storage currently,
Yeah.
but yes, we do have a Jacobs radial engine built in Pottstown.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I kind of covered everything. I probably should have told you this because I skipped over this, but there's a picture of a flying Merkel motorcycle, guy standing with it, the photograph, and it's old, and so you can see a photograph of it. And rumor has it that's Edward Fretz who started this whole thing with Light and
the man in the photo.
Yeah,
we think.
Yeah,
is
it's everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, did I cover everything? Oh, I didn't cover that.
Forgot my friend who's been staring at me this whole time.
There's another advertisement here for Light Manufacturing. This is out of 1920, and it has a guy called Champy Speedo, who is very odd looking and kind of frightening looking. And he says, "I hear America say, speed up production." And he's standing there, and there's a map of the United States with a face on it, and he's listening to him say that. So that was Light Manufacturing. And I came across a lot of advertisements with that Champy Speedo character in it.
It's a questionable mascot, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So.
He's like those eyes have been boring into me this whole time.
Yeah, sorry, sorry.
Okay. The sacrifices.
So yeah, and he looks like he's wearing like a chauffeur's outfit.
I
just noticed that. So.
But I don't know what's on his.
Okay,
he's
that's
one
what
of
I
a kind.
have.
Well, you've managed to find more information about Light, but only just make me question more things.
Yeah, well,
They
I
are
have other stuff in here, and we can do that.
They are the
off camera.
quintessential octopus company with
Yeah.
like all these tentacles and everything. And I didn't even know they did engines for the Daniels.
Yeah.
Learned something new today.
Well, you knew they did engines for the Daniels.
No, I don't think I did I?
You didn't know this came from Light?
No.
Oh.
I thought they were doing Chadwick stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is interesting.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, we tried covering a little bit about Light in a previous episode of Where Have You Been Lately with those apartment buildings that you're talking about.
And then we've also talked about, when I was talking about the cars themselves, and
they're all over the place.
because I think there's a lot of good information on those cars, and it just, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
How do you compartmentalize? Is that the right word?
Yes.
So,
Well, you know, the Reading, what Daniels was built in Reading, so of course they built things there, but they also purchased so many other things from other companies,
Right.
and brought them in, like the engines.
Mm-hmm.
So that just leads to more stories and questions and things to find.
I'm going to throw this out right before I get on, and this is, I don't have this highlighted though. I have it low lighted. There was another company that made engines in Pottstown called North American Motor Company, and they made engines for the Bethlehem truck. In fact, Bethlehem truck, which was made in Allentown, purchased that company, which that company and that building is another whole octopus.
Oof. Yeah,
So.
it is. It's true.
Okay.
All right. Well,
We're
thank
done.
you. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for enlightening us about this engine. Enlighten. Get it?
Oh, yes.
Working
Okay.
hard today.
Yeah,
The brain's
good.
working hard. Thank you again for joining us here at the Boyertown Museum for the latest episode of Motor Mouth. We hope that you'll come visit us in person. And other than that, we will see you next time here.